All right, welcome to our last class. This is class 5 of the Yoga and Stretching for Dental Professionals course, and this is our post-test review. So all of the stretches on here are the same stretches that you're going to see on the post-test. So hopefully by going through this class, it will help you a lot with the post-test. This class is also going to go pretty quickly. It's just a review, so if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me once this is over. All right. So we're going to start with mountain pose, and we've done this one probably in every class now, every stretching and exercise class. Mountain pose is done while you're standing. Both of your feet are going to be on the ground about hip width apart, and you're going to reach your hands up to the sky, looking up at your hands. This pose is used a lot just to start a normal yoga session, and it is part of the sun salutations. Forward bend is completed by bending forward with your hands resting on the floor or your feet or even your leg. You do want to try to keep your legs slightly straight. However, having your legs bent is okay. And you also want to try to keep your back straight. So a lot of times after we bend forward, we'll raise up a little bit, straighten out our back, and then continue to pull forward. And in this position, you can do neck stretches, you can do some shoulder stretches where you bring your hands behind your back. There's a lot of things that you can do in this pose. Triangle pose. So triangle pose we just learned last class. And this is done while standing, and your feet are going to be spread apart. And then you're going to place your hand either on your calf or your thigh, not on your knee. Rotate your body so you get that spinal stretch, and lift your hand up towards the ceiling while looking at your fingertips. And then the next one is Cobra pose. And Cobra pose is completed by laying on the floor, lifting your upper body, using your hands, and looking upward. And I'm sure you remember, but if this pose is too difficult for you, you can always go into Sphinx pose, which is where you're down on your hand and your forearm. You won't be tested on that, but it's a really nice way to help your back if you are experiencing back. Downward dog pose is one of the most common yoga poses, and this is where you place your hands out in front of you, and they're going to be about shoulder width apart, your feet behind you about hip width apart. You're going to touch your head, or bring the crown of your head towards the floor and your tailbone up towards the ceiling, just kind of increasing that spinal stretch as you sink your head closer and closer to the floor. Cat-cow pose is where we extend and flex our spine while on our hands and knees. We're going to arch our stomach in, tucking our chin and our nose in towards our belly, and then extend our spine and our neck and our head looking up towards the sky. Extended puppy pose is going to be similar to child's pose. The difference is with the extended puppy pose, you're not kneeling back all the way. Your thighs and your calves, or your upper leg and your lower leg, are going to be at about a 90-degree angle. And your hands are going to be out in front of you with your head reaching toward your hands and then down towards the mat. If you can touch the mat with your head, great. If not, it's still a correct posture. Child's pose is similar to extended puppy pose, but we sit back on our legs. And we just extend our hands out in front of us. Most people in this position are able to put their head on the floor in front of them. Butterfly pose is where you sit with your knees extended on either side of you and your feet touching, the soles of your feet touching. And you can either hold your feet or place your hands on the floor, and you're going to bend forward. And again, with this pose, you want to keep your back straight. You don't want to arch and try to sniff your feet. You want to try to get that stretch all along your lower back. Now we're on to our 3 stretches, the upper trapezius stretch, the levator scapula stretch, and the scalene stretch. You don't need to know exactly how to do each of these stretches. You just need to know that these are all stretches for the neck. The upper trapezius stretch is where you're going to put your ear to your armpit and use your hand to increase the stretch. To keep it a stretch, you need to make sure that your shoulders are relaxed and that your hand is relaxed at your side, relaxed behind your back, or that you're sitting on your hand. Levator scapula stretch is where you bring your nose to your armpit, and you're also going to use your hand to deepen the stretch if you need to. And scalene stretch is where you tilt your ear toward your shoulder and use your hand again to pull if you need to deepen the stretch. Wrist extension and flexion are done by placing your palm in front of you and holding your fingers and pulling back, and then flexing your hand. Also, again, holding on to the back of your head and your fingers and increasing the stretch by placing pressure on your hand. Wind releasing pose is where we lay on the floor and we pull our legs toward us, hugging our knees into our upper body. And then last, but the favorite, Savasana or corpse pose is completed by laying on your back on the ground with your arms by your sides and your palms faced up. Now, just one last stretch that I'm going to sneak in here that I think is really helpful is this untwister by Dr. Bethany Valachi. And in this pose, we place our elbow on our thigh. We turn our torso, looking our head up and extending our arm up over our head. And this is held for just a few seconds and then completed on the other side. So overall, that is it. That is all of the stretches that will be in the post-test. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much for participating in this course. Let me know if you need any help with anything in the future. Thanks.